Hey guys, Hitman89 here, making a video for buygames.ps, and this is my honest review on FIFA 22. Every year, a new FIFA comes out and it's basically the same game with a fresh coat of paint. So the question we're gonna be answering today is, does FIFA 22 have enough new features to justify its price tag? Without further ado, we're gonna start with the graphics. This review was shot on Xbox Series X, and if you're wondering if there are any major differences between the next gen and the PS4 and Xbox One version of the game, then you should know that visually it's mostly during cutscenes and replays, but from this view you won't notice a huge difference. The gameplay is different though, thanks to the hypermotion technology, which we'll talk about in the gameplay section of this review, but for now we're gonna focus on the graphics. And even though they're still pretty similar to FIFA 21's, you'll most likely notice that the image has way less sharpness this year and slightly more vibrant colors. When it comes to player models, almost everything is good apart from the crappy textures, which is, in my opinion, the number one reason why most player faces look a little off. But FIFA's got the best hair I've ever seen in a video game. Moving on to the animations, since the goalkeepers have been reworked, many new animations were added and they now play way better than before. Some may even say they're a little too good now, but they're not. From long range, most of the time they can be beaten easily. You'll also see improved animations in player duels and when controlling the ball. There is still too much ice skating and clipping though. Oh, and players are still unrealistically agile. They can make a 360 turn in less than a second. It's like everybody's a freaking ninja on this game. Now when it comes to the performance, the game runs smooth. I don't think you're gonna have any performance issues, but I should mention that I've had a couple of lag spikes. I don't know whether they're due to my opponent's internet connection or maybe they were server related issues. Who knows? Now let's move on to the sound. One thing EA always gets right in FIFA is the soundtrack. I still remember songs from FIFA 16, 14 and even FIFA 99 on PS1. Yeah, I'm old, I know. The sound effects are also amazing, the ambience, the crowd, you can even hear players screaming and talking. The commentary can be repetitive though, it's only gonna take you a couple of games to hear the same stuff over and over again. That being said, when something important happens, the commentators interrupt each other, which makes it much more believable. So I'm gonna let you listen to the game audio for about 15 seconds and then we'll talk about the gameplay.
Not like you.
Well, let's see what they have in store for them on the break. Might be a chance here. Majestic piece of...
More of the same. I think it's been a really good...
Oh, sorry, Stuart, look at this! And a strong glove on...
I focused on Ultimate Team and I think that's what most people who buy FIFA will be playing. I used to spend more time in the menus doing SBCs, trading, building my squad, basically doing anything to avoid having to play the actual game just because I didn't like the gameplay that much. But this year I enjoyed playing the game and I'll tell you why. What this hyper motion system does is that it makes the gameplay a little slower and more realistic since you have to pass the ball around more often than before, and with the improved ball and player physics it's less scripted, even though some deflections, crosses and headers are clearly still way too scripted and unrealistic. Overall there is less pinball action unless you use driven passes all the time, but scoring goals feels much more rewarding and enjoyable than ever. By the way, there are tons of customization options which I don't really care about, but for those of you who do, you'll be happy to know you can customize almost everything about your stadium. And apart from Ultimate Team, there are plenty of game modes to play, solo or in co-op. Nothing really new though. Well, career mode now allows you to create your own club, which is a welcome addition. Also, for those of you who want a mix of FIFA Street and Pro Clubs, you've got Volta, which now has some special mini games that are only available during the weekend. Alright, so we talked about the pros, now let's dive into the cons. The user interface is worse in some areas. It used to be much more intuitive and clear, like this post-match screen with the stats or just in-game menus where you could do something in one step, but now it takes 2 or 3 steps. Oh, and they tried to make a cool intro, but it ended up being a little cringe-worthy. I feel like most people will be skipping it, even though it's a good tutorial that shows you some of FIFA 22's new gameplay features. Now, the hypermotion technology added a little bit of realism to the gameplay, but it's still way too arcadey. Hopefully EA will keep on going this way, cause FIFA's supposed to be a football simulation, you know? So having things that work and others that don't isn't realistic, cause on FIFA, if you wanna win, you have to play a certain way or you won't be able to compete. So let's say you want to build a squad made of strong but slow players, then you'll most likely lose every single game, since pace is still pretty much the most important thing in this game. It's still much more enjoyable than the last 3 FIFA games though. Speaking of which, let's move on to the fun factor. Playing the CPU is just not enjoyable for me, so I stay away from all the modes that don't have real opponents. And I have to say, playing FIFA Ultimate Team was much more fun and addictive than before, because doing squad building challenges, completing objectives and unlocking rewards is fun, and playing the actual game was fun for me again, and I couldn't get enough of it. Now when it comes to the value for money, you're gonna need $60 for the PS4 and Xbox One version of the game, and if you want the next gen version, then it's gonna be $70. For a game that could have been released as a big DLC, it's too much in my opinion, especially for people who plan on buying some other games throughout the year. Let's be real though, most FIFA players only play FIFA, so spending $60 or even $70 on a game that's gonna last them almost a whole year isn't gonna bother them. And obviously packs are still in the game, which I don't even recommend opening with in-game coins, let alone with real money. So FIFA 22 is far from being revolutionary, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's definitely worth it if you skipped last year's edition or if you're making the switch from PES to FIFA. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10, because this is honestly my favorite FIFA game in 5 years, and even though I'm not gonna keep on playing it because I have a life, just kidding, it's because I want to play all the new games and I can't be wasting my time on just FIFA. By the way, let me know if you want to see a FIFA 22 versus PES or eFootball 2022 comparison video. Oh, and if you want to get FIFA 22 for cheap, or any other games for that matter, head over to buygames.ps, the best website that sells PlayStation and Xbox games for amazingly low prices, and they're the only ones that offer a lifetime warranty on all of their products. You'll find their link in the description, so check them out. I hope you found this video useful. Hit the like button if you did, and please subscribe if you're new to the channel. It's been Hitman89. See you guys very soon.